Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy New Year. Sorry that last week's video didn't go up. I'm in the middle of changing my lighting, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Today's look is using all affordable makeup from Drugstore high street brands. Today I'm using the Gigi eyeshadow palette from Maybelline, and I'm gonna take this medium brown shade from the palette on a small crease brush, and using circular motions I'm gonna work that on the outer V. So we're extending the colour outwards, and then we're going to use what's left on the bristles to pull that through the socket. And you want to layer this a couple of times just to build up some intensity of colour, but as you can see, considering it's Drugstore, it's still a really good payoff. I'm then going in with a fluffy blending brush to work that over the edges of the eyeshadow to make sure it's nice and seamless and looks well blended. Then I'm going into the darkest shade in the palette, and I'm going to use the same brush for the application. This time we're starting on the very outer edge of the mobile eyelid. I'm working my brush in circular motions, concentrating the majority of that colour on the outer third, and then using what's left of the bristles to work that through the socket so we get graduation from the darker brown into that lighter brown. Mixing those two browns together, I'm now going to run that underneath the lower lashes. In doing so, frames the eye and creates balance. That way we don't look like we're wearing too much eyeshadow on our top lid with nothing on the bottom. Next I'm taking Maybelline's Fit Me Concealer in a light shade, and using a flat brush we're going to paint the concealer on to define our socket line. We want this part of our eyelid to be more prominent, so doing this if you've got hooded eyes is a really great way to make your eyelid look bigger than it actually is. I start off by tracing my natural socket line first, and then I go back in with a brush and take that line slightly higher. Also, by using a concealer that's a lot lighter than my skin tone, it means that the eyeshadow colours will look more like they do in the pan. They can often get a little bit lost on your natural skin tone. So if you look back at some of my older videos, I often use the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk as a base to make eyeshadows really pop. You only want to take that sort of 3/4 of the way across the eyelid, and then you can just use your finger to tap that into the eyeshadow that's already on the eye, and that will give you a nice blend. The next shade we're using is this shimmery pink tone. It has quite a delicate payoff in terms of colour, so if you didn't put a light base down, you'll find that this on skin tone won't look very pink, but over a light base or something that's white, it definitely looks more like it does in the eyeshadow pan. The placement of this is in the centre of the eyelid. Next I'm going in with the lightest colour in the palette, which is a beautiful champagne gold, and this is going on the inner third of the eye. We're going to feather that into the pink that's already on the eyelid. Going back to my small fluffy crease brush, I'm dipping that into the darkest brown in the eyeshadow palette and redefining the outer third of that mobile eyelid, and softly bringing that up into the socket. Make sure you tap all the excess eyeshadow off of the brush first, and use a really light hand when you're doing this. For eyeliner, I'm using Max Factor's Masterpiece High Precision Eyeliner. This one's a bit like Marmite, you either love it or hate it. The payoff is great and it lasts really well, it's just got a really bizarre tip. The sides of the nib are great because they're flat, which means you can get close to the eyelashes and you can draw a relatively straight line. But to create a wing, it's quite difficult because it's a rounded tip. So I found to get that nice sharp wing, you definitely need an alternative brush. This is about as good as it gets. So I switched to a really fine brush and then just create the wing on the outer edge, but it still really is a great eyeliner. I'm taking this Duo Kohl by Rimmel, and I'm taking the brown shade to line my waterline. It's quite similar to the shade that we've got on the outer V, so it will help to tie the look together. Then I'm going in with this mascara by Gigi and Maybelline. This is the wand on the end. It is slightly curved, so it does fit the shape of your eye. It's a nice formula. The brush does get through the eyelashes, but my preference is definitely one with multi-bristles like the Maybelline Big Shot. I'm going to be applying some false eyelashes, so I'm just going to apply one coat of this to the top lashes and also a coat to the bottom eyelashes. Once your falsies are on, you may want to go in with another coat to your bottom lashes to give it a little bit more balance. These ones are Amore by Coco. These are a little bit more expensive than Drugstore eyelashes, but they are only about £11.50 and you will get a lot of wear out of them. On a pencil brush, I'm taking that champagne shade and putting that on the inner corners of the eyes, and also what's left on the bristles through the brow bone. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see this week I have done a Instagram stories on these micro tattoo brow artist pens by L'Oreal. It's not a sponsored post, it was just that they fascinated me that they've created these micro hair stroke pens. They come in a nice range of colours and they last really well. I put some swatches onto my arm and 12 hours later they were still visible. think I'm using cool brunette through the front of my eyebrows, and then I move on to a darker brunette shade for the outer half. These are much more visible in the flesh, it's just that my bright lighting just tends to knock a lot of that colour back. If you're not very confident with filling in your brows and you'd like something that isn't so full on like a pencil, then give these a go. They've got tiny little teeth that gives you hair stroke marks, and they're not too intense, but you can really build up the colour to your desired shade. For foundation, I'm using Gosh foundation drops in the shade 006 Tawny. Initially it goes on okay and looks like it's going to be a nice colour match, but it does end up making me look a little bit pale, so I'm going to go in for bronzer afterwards, but the actual foundation is really lovely. I didn't use a primer or anything because I wasn't going to be keeping the makeup on for very long, but I noticed it hadn't sat in any of my pores, which was great. Next I'm going in with the Maybelline Eraser Eye Concealer. I'm placing this directly underneath the eyes, a little bit on the chin and the centre of the forehead. This is great if you need a little bit more coverage or you just want to brighten the centre of your face. I'm going to be using a liquid bronzer because I've not set the foundation in place. This one is by Bourjois and it's an 8-in-1 BB cream. I'm applying this around the hairline because my forehead is naturally darker in this area and also across my cheekbones. I'm going to apply it with a brush and then just push that into the skin with a dampened sponge. This is a great tip if you've got a foundation that you've bought from a store which you can't take back and it's too light for you. If you warm up the circumference of your face, it can start to look a lot more natural. I'm using the translucent powder from my Soap & Glory Kick-Ass Concealer, and I'm going to use that to set the centre of my face. For blush, I'm going into this quad palette by Gosh, and I'm going to use the two pinky shades at the bottom. I'm going to mix those together and apply those to the back half of my cheeks. Remember, if you apply too much, you can always go back in with your foundation brush or your sponge and just knock the colour back. For lips, I'm using the Gigi Maybelline lip liner in the shade McCall, and I'm going to apply this all over the lip. And then over there, I'm using the matching lipstick by Gigi and Maybelline. It's a really nice nude shade. It's a matte finish, but it has a creamy texture. And that completes my look. You can go on to apply some highlighter if you want, add a little bit more blush, a bit more bronzer, it's completely up to you, but I wanted to create something simple and pretty. Please tell me what you thought in the comment section below. I love to speak to you all. If you've got any requests for tutorials, also leave those in the comment section below. Don't forget the products will be listed and linked in the description bar. And remember to hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you'd like to follow me outside of YouTube, then my social handles are on screen. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again soon. Bye!